let's enjoy my spooky shirt. Today, we're going to talk about my October wrap-up. All of the books that I read in October, which ended up being 10 books. October for me was kind of weird. I feel like September and October have been kind of weird reading months, but I do think 10 books is very good. I'm happy with 10 books. Anything over, anything under, I would have been happy with also. I'm just, for some reason, have not been loving every single book I pick up. Now, don't get me wrong, I've given 4 and 5 stars this month, so it's not that I've had a bad reading month, it's just that I haven't been obsessed with or loved any of the books that I've read this month, whereas previous months, I'm diehard for some of those books. So, I have got to put my hair up, it's bothering me. And I am actually filming this video on Halloween. So this video comes out tomorrow. Happy Halloween, you guys. To celebrate, I'm gonna eat a Kit Kat. Let's get going. So the first book I read was All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata. I am gonna hold my phone so I have my Goodreads so I can tell you guys about the book, okay? I ended up giving All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata 5 out of 5 stars. Are we surprised? Not really, because every book that I've read from her has either gotten 4.5 or 5 stars. And this one ended up being my new favorite. I read this during Brock, my husband's 50-mile race. He's an ultra runner. He likes running. Ran a race and I read this during his race. I do have a vlog on this book and it will be tagged somewhere on the screen. I think because it was set in Colorado and that's where we currently live, it holds a little special place in my heart. I thought the atmosphere of this book, the snow, the weather, the hikes, everything like that, the nature in this book was described very, very well. Aurora, but she goes by Aura in the book. Oh my god. Mariana Zapata's female characters, I absolutely adore. There's so much depth to them. Honestly, all of her characters have a lot of depth. Specifically, Aurora had so much past, not trauma per se, but something happened to Aurora's mother. Once that traumatic thing happened, Aurora moved away. She didn't want to stay in Colorado anymore, but something is bringing her back and she ends up coming back to Colorado and renting a little home above someone's garage. This someone, Tobias Rhodes, doesn't know he's renting out the space above his garage, and you'll have to read the book to find out, like, how doesn't he know he's renting a space above his garage. I did think the pacing of this book was a lot better compared to her others. It is a little bit shorter than her other books, which is odd because it's still 550 some pages, so it's still a very long and dense book, but I thought the plot was a little bit thicker. So much complexity with the families and the dynamics between all the characters. Loved it. 5 out of 5 stars. So we started out the month really strong, and then what's next? Sorry, I'm like, this is not a very professional video. Let me eat my Kit Kat. The next book was If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. And, you know, I read this book actually for a video that's coming out soon, but you guys will get my full opinions on these 2 books in that video. If We Were Villains. Yeah, I almost bit a Kit Kat. I gave If We Were Villains 3.5 out of 5 stars. This was an interesting book. I've realized I don't really like dark academia books, which I feel like is rare in the booktube community and BookTok community. Everyone loves dark academia. There are some books that I like the Atlas 6, and I did enjoy this one, but for some reason I could give 2 craps about pretentious characters. These characters were so stuck up sometimes, and I just was like, get over yourself. There are 7 friends who go to this theater school. It's kind of like a trade school for theater kids. The 7 of these kids are like at the top of their class, big time actors, actresses, and someone dies. Someone gets killed. The whole book pretty much figuring out who done it. I thought it was a tad bit predictable, but one thing I loved was the ending. The ending had this tiny little twist literally on the last chapter, last page, I'm pretty sure. No, there is a letter involved, and I thought that letter was very good. I liked that little cliffhanger that it left us on to kind of assume. You know what it gave me? 2 characters in this book remind me of Willem and Jude from A Little Life. A Little Life is tragic in different ways. I'm just gonna say there's no like mystery aspect in A Little Life, but that's the way it made me feel. Like this book made me feel kind of icky. I liked it. I thought it was an okay book. I'm not gonna recommend this to many people. I think if you do like dark academia, this is for you. If you also like Shakespeare, this is for you. There's a lot of Shakespearean brought up in this, and I thrown back into high school and I don't like it. The next book I am not gonna talk about for very long, okay? I gave this book, Court of the Vampire Queen by Katie Robert, 3 out of 5, but it could go down to 2 out of 5. I don't know. I just don't know. The whole book was porn, smut. There was barely any plot. Like, I understand the plot and I understand what she was trying to do with the plot, but it was non-existent. This is a kind of book where you could pick it up off your shelf, flip to randomly, okay? Read it, and you would get turned on. Like, that's the kind of book this is. There's not a lot of substance to this. You've got to have about 2 brain cells to read this book. I did enjoy it in a way. I don't really know how to put into words why I enjoyed this, but it was okay. Like, I just don't know. This is a poly relationship book too, so there are 4 people involved. Was the plot good? No. So, that's it. Let me eat the rest of my Kit Kat. The next book I don't own, but I did listen to it because it came out on Audible this month. Shadowlands by Stacey Marie Brown, which is book number 6 in her Shadowlands series. Wait, Savage Lands series, sorry. Shadowlands, 6th book in the Savage Lands series. I don't remember much about this book, but I gave it 4 stars because I think the series as a whole is so hard to differentiate between all of the books. Like, they're all super similar. The plot never really goes anywhere. It's the same plot over and over and over again. It's like they escape, they get captured, they escape, they get captured. And the characters, there's about 16 to 17 main characters. Obviously there's 2 main characters, but really there's 3 main characters, and then if you include him, you've got to include her, and it's like there's really 6 main characters. Like, it just never, it's a never-ending tree of characters. But the one thing I loved about this book, because I listened to it, was the different point of views. I thought the narrator for the female, wonderful. It's a little cringy at some points because of the smutty scenes in these books were very detailed. The male voice in this audiobook was phenomenal. Phenomenal. I love the deep, growly kind of voice for Warwick, our main character. And Warwick is just that kind of guy. He's a gritty dude. The main narrator for it was perfect for Warwick. I liked the series as a whole. If you liked ACOTAR and you want a smuttier version of ACOTAR with a little crazier, hectic plot, this would be it. The next book was The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars, which, you know, I feel like we've had some wins so far. Okay, this book, very entertaining. It was a little frustrating because I thought that there was going to be more mystery aspect to it. This is a fiction book. Don't go into this thinking there's going to be some big plot reveal or mystery or twist. There's not. The whole time you're thinking about one specific scenario and one specific character, but that's it. Nothing gets resolved. Nothing happens. It was quite a frustrating ending. There were a lot of complex themes also talked about, and I won't go into like crazy detail, but basically there are these 2 twins who live in a really small town in Louisiana, I believe. They are biracial. One twin ends up leading a more white traditional life, and the other twin leads a more African American traditional life. There is a specific part that bothered me, not in Brit Bennett's writing, but more so like the character. I thought one of the characters was infuriating, but we can't all have what we want, okay? These twins also ended up having daughters, and this is where I didn't end up loving the rest of the book. I would say like 20%, the beginning, is in the 2 twins' perspectives. So it's like the mom's perspectives. Then they both have daughters, and the rest of the book is in the daughter's perspective, but I didn't really care about the daughters. I wanted more about the twins and why they separated, and more detail on their growing up and why they ended up feeling like they needed to lead different lives. I understood both sides at some point in the book, but I still didn't quite love where the book ended up. This has been on my physical TBR for a bit, so I'm happy that I finally picked it up. The next 2 books I read, not surprising to anyone, It Ends With Us and It Starts With Us. I do have a vlog on this, a reread of It Ends With Us and my final review of the duology. So this was a reread. This was the first book that kind of got me into booktube, so it holds a special place in my heart, but I did give it 4 out of 5 stars. The first time I read it, I also gave it 4 out of 5 stars. My reading experience with this reread was very different than the first time. This book, It Starts With Us, I gave 5 out of 5 stars. I know a lot of people were like, it's basically a novella. Yes, but it's like an extended epilogue. It's a really long epilogue, that's all it was. And I really loved it. I loved the added aspect of Josh and Theo. And if you've read the book, you know who I'm talking about. I thought Josh and Theo were adorable. Atlas obviously was my favorite character in It Ends With Us. So I needed more Atlas in this book, and I'm happy that we got it. I'm happy that Ryle wasn't the main focus on this book. Obviously, I know this is Atlas's book, but she could have put Ryle in there a lot more, and she didn't, and I appreciate. And the parts that we did get of Ryle, I thought were shut down really quickly, and there wasn't any extended nonsense on Ryle's part. There was like one triggering scene. It's upsetting to read about. But even with that one scene with Ryle, I thought that it was resolved very quickly. Everything was just cutesy, sappy, and that's what I wanted. And I wanted Atlas and Lily to have a happy ending, and this is so good to see. One thing that I do wish added maybe is more depth on their relationship, because not all relationships all the time are happy-go-lucky, and I thought that maybe just the added element of, their relationship's not gonna be perfect either. Like, even though that Ryle and Lily obviously didn't have a perfect relationship, Atlas and Lily might be happier, but not all relationships are gonna be great and happy all the time. So I thought that maybe there could have been a little bit more realistic element added in. That's about it. 4 and 5 stars. Oy. The next 3 books, I'll talk about one at a time, obviously, but The Kind Worth Killing. I stepped out, my eyeball is really itchy right now, hold on. I stepped out of my comfort zone this month to read multiple mystery thriller books. This book, The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson, 3 out of 5 stars. When I was reading it, I was very into it. The character dynamics with the relationships, it was a lot going on. Everyone wanted to kill each other. That's how this book was. Every single character was just out to get the other character. It was very entertaining. I ended up halfway getting the audiobook so I could listen to it like when I was driving and stuff. Lily in this book is a serial killer, and she's been killing since she was a child, basically. And she kind of helps Ted create this scheme and plot to kill his wife. That's what this book is about. I thought that the last paragraph of the book was actually the best part because it just kind of left you on a cliffhanger. And I think there's a second one. I think it's The Kind Worth Saving. I don't know when, but I know there's a second one possibly coming out. I originally gave it 4 out of 5 stars, but then I read some other really good thrillers that I'm about to talk about, and I was like, this is not 4 stars compared to these other 2. This, I did change my rating on it earlier this week, so 3 out of 5 stars. The next book, The Woman in the Window, which, guys, this is so weird. I even posted it on my main Instagram story. I started reading this book on October 23rd, and this book starts on October 24th, and I thought that was very odd. There were a lot of commonalities that I had with this book. Like, her birthday is on November 11th, mine is on November 12th. There were the mention of the number 4 was repetitive in this book, and my lucky number is 4. There was just so many weird things. As I was reading this book, I was like, this is kind of eerie, kind of creepy. I know this book is an adaptation. Brock said he watched it, and I was not expecting the twist at the end, but if I reread it, I would definitely pick up on the clues or the foreshadowing that was left in this book, because now looking back, I'm like, oh, I totally see it. I totally see it. I am a little gullible when it comes to books too, so I'm not surprised that I missed the twist. The writing was super spastic because our main character has agoraphobia, which is when you're kind of scared of vast spaces. The The exact definition is in here somewhere, but I'm not going to go over that. Look it up if you're interested. She's on a lot of medications. She's drinking a lot. A lot is going on up there. So the way that she's writing or speaking is how we see it in her mind. Very chaotic read, but I liked it a lot. The chapters were like 2 pages long. It was incredible. They were like 90 some chapters. That's what I want in all of my books because it's so quick. It's so easy to read. You're kind of anxious the whole time, just like she is. I thought it was wonderful. 4 out of 5 stars. The next book is Rock, Paper, Scissors. For real, what is going on? Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. Why did I say it like that? Alice Feeney. Okay, I finished this last night. Told you I'm really gullible. Did not predict the ending, the whole book. It's just right in our face, and I did not predict it. I thought that part was incredible, but I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I did not love the setting or the characters. The characters are very unlikable. They're meant to be unlikable. You're not meant to love these characters. They're very, very flawed, but I didn't cling to the plot or the setting or the characters in general, and it took me a really long time. It took me 5 days to read, struggling to get through. Well, I can't tell you guys about any of the characters or anything because I think I would spoil it, but aspects to this book that I really liked, and there were some aspects that I didn't like, and I think that comes with every single book. So although I really loved the last 50 pages of this book, once you figured out the twist and figured out everything and everything unraveled, I didn't love the beginning 90%. To be 3.5 for a not very good book, it's pretty good. Don't DNF it. Just get through, just trudge through. Even if you're not clinging to anything, there's a lot of foreshadowing that I did not catch on. That is all of the books that I read. Yeah, I read 10 books, and I'm currently reading The Kiss of Deception, which I'm liking, but I've remembered and realized that young adult is not quite my thing anymore, so that's taking me longer to get through than I expected. So I thought I would have read 11 books this month, but I'm not. I'm just gonna finish The Kiss of Deception probably this week, and now we can start November. I'm very excited. That is it for today's video. Thank you for tuning in. I had a good reading month. There was nothing wrong with this month's reading. Just put some recommendations down below for me because I am not in a slump, but I need some ideas. I need some fresh books to pop up on my TBR or my want to read list. So please comment down below. I hope that everyone had a wonderful Halloween, and I will see you guys in the next video.